Hi all. So yeah, it's been a week, a full packed week. Yeah, it's full of so much, and yeah, I've been avoiding doing another video of sharing because it just seems like there's so much I don't even know where to start or where to begin. So um, yeah, we'll just begin where we are. Here we are. Here I am. So yeah, I'm just blown away, like really by everything and the integration process and just all that's coming in and all that's being released and all that's being revealed and all that's being healed. And yeah, feels like there's a sword and a shield too, somewhere in there. And like the sword of truth and the shield of protection. And a lot of what I've been learning, I mean, like I was focused on inclusivity a lot. Just integrating all these aspects. But I also realized too, like how important, like the other side is of the differentiation and the boundaries. So inclusivity and boundaries. And I really kind of, I've been getting that the last week or so about, it is, and it has been about boundaries. And because in certain ways, like I'm like I want to be open. Like I do like want to open to people and I want to receive others and I want to really think the best of others and really allow others to be and give them the benefit of a doubt and give them, you know, cut them slack, give them chances, like to turn it around, you know, like in different ways. But yeah, in some ways, maybe I have been a little bit judgmental and intolerant of certain things that really do bother me, but that's okay too. And kind of learning that just to pay attention to the way that I'm feeling and to the messages that my feelings and my emotions have for me and trying to tell me, trying to help me see. And so, yeah, that's been interesting to see in a lot of ways. Not judging like the feelings and the stories that come up, or catching myself, and then redirecting. You know, like observing and letting go of what it's supposed to be or what it's supposed to show me, and then just kind of letting it reveal what wants to be healed or what's asking for honoring, what's asking for reconciliation, what's asking for inclusivity, what's asking for integration, what's asking for love and release. So, yeah, it's a little tricky. Inclusivity and boundaries. Knowing what's mine, what's not mine. And sometimes that is a really hard thing for me to do, is realizing what's mine and what's not mine, because I do in a way absorb it and take it all on as mine, but it's not. So yeah, it can show me what's related to what's mine, and but it can also show me what's not mine. So like the reflections and dynamics in and through certain relationships have helped me a lot these last few months. And my last video was about completion and about new beginnings and endings, and how those cycles meet and overlap. And in that transition. And so, it's been kind of interesting in many ways to see, how there is really no beginning and no end, but there are completions of cycles and lessons and relationships. So, yeah, still trying to wrap my head around that too. So, like, one symbol that I grabbed today because I wanted to, it just felt like right, was I don't know if you can see this. It's just a little it's a snake. If you remember one of those toys that probably get at like a carnival or something. It's a little broken, but it used to belong to my daughter, and she had a box of stuff that she didn't really want anymore, and I just kind of was like, oh, that's kind of a cool symbol, so I'm just gonna keep that, like, to play with, because I'm a kid at heart. And so it reminds me of the Ouroboros and the circle, yeah, and that there is really no beginning and no end because it just continues. It's continuity. And so on this silver platter, which kind of represents like the reflection to me, and then like in the middle, I just have something that a friend made for me, like dried plants and flowers and things. Like, it almost reminds me of like an ambered fossil of some kind, and there's like a little musical note in there, glued in there, and that's cute. But yeah, for some reason they just wanted to, like, yeah, during my sand play and stuff, just put them together. And so, like, I feel like it's an incubation almost period too. Yeah, which is interesting. And yeah, it's like, also, yeah, like the old and the new. Yeah. Maybe I'll get some more, yeah, messages, yeah, from that. But, yeah. I was looking at some of the cycles that have been completed. And I was talking with a friend a couple days ago about like how Saturn just came out of retrograde on the 29th of September. And it's kind of funny because I didn't really remember mentioning that in our last conversation until he brought it up again. And I was like, oh, that must have been significant for me at the time, or it must have just been like some kind of thing that came through my intuition or something, because I hadn't even remembered. And it was kind of funny that that came up too, because I had been looking in my astrology book. It's an A to Z horoscope maker and interpreter. I just picked it up after my last video, probably the day after, and yeah, I got some interesting things. So yeah, the first thing that I opened to was about Celtic lunar astrology, and so I was just gonna like share that. I'm gonna read a little bit about that, and it's pretty interesting. And then the next thing that I flipped open to was about like the planets in retrograde and how that does like affect us in certain ways, and how it does have like sets of lessons. It's an opportunity to go within and to like restructure and reset and reevaluate things. And we had five planets in retrograde, or 5 celestial bodies, 4 planets in Pallas Athene in retrograde, starting in May. And so like in the springtime, yeah, that was when like 5 of those went into retrograde, and I kind of took some notes and stuff about that, like just to see, and it all fits in like with what, yeah, my themes have been. And it's kind of funny like to go back and look at that now and see like where we are now. But yeah, it's kind of trippy in a lot of ways. And yeah, I love archetypal astrology and just astrology and looking at different things, because it is a reflection and a projection. And yeah, the light of the heavens reflects the light of the earth. And so yeah, it was interesting. It's an interesting dance and a play. For the Celtic lunar astrology, This says the Druids had a zodiac containing 13 signs. Each of these signs is associated with a tree and an animal. The year is divided evenly into 13 lunar months. These lunar months can be overlaid with the 12 signs for the tropical zodiac, producing unique interpretations of the birth chart. One system of interpretation considers decans, 10-degree divisions of the tropical zodiac, and adds information about the particular lunar month. Because of the constant overlapping of solar, tropical, and lunar Celtic signs, the decans at the end of each lunar sign overlap with the next lunar sign. In essence, the two systems provide a continuous energy flow, as there is no point in the system where both systems end on the same day. The subtle interplay of the sun and the moon cycles provides a depth of interpretation for Celtic astrology. It honors the solar cycle of growth, death, decay, and rebirth, and it also honors the lunar development cycle, a more feminine expression of consciousness. The system also includes one day each year that is not part of a lunar sign. This nameless day marks the end of the time when the sun has sunk to its lowest point and is now returning northward. December 23rd is not associated with any of the trees that rule the 13 lunar signs, but instead with mistletoe, the symbol of life through death. The different astrological systems each reflect the concerns of their cultures, as well as the precision of calculation methods. Contemporary astrology benefits from the wealth of perspectives, as well as from the incredible precision and speed of calculation offered by astrology software. Both enrich the possibilities for today's astrologer. So I thought that was cool. Like, kind of, there's the sun and the moon cycles again, cycles and continuity and growths, the solar cycles of growth, death, decay, and rebirth. And then the lunar cycles, feminine expressions, more feminine expression of consciousness. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then the 13 signs. And and then, the next thing that I opened to is kind of funny. The Greek astrology or Greek mythology book that I had picked up last time when I mentioned Helios, Selene, and Asclepius and Chiron. All of that was super interesting, and I got like a lot more insights into that, into the purification, like the fires of purification and the sacrifice, and the death of the old and the birth into the new. Kind of like almost, like the phoenix rising from the ashes and all of that. So, the next thing in this book had to do with heliocentric astrology and geocentric astrology. And I thought that was kind of funny because we, just looking at Helios and all of that. So, but the next page. So it was, I just had this, it was in the middle of a chapter, the beginning and the end, so the last chapter was on heliocentric astrology, and then the next chapter was on Chiron and the major asteroids, which was really funny too, because the page that, from this book where the plates were with Helios, Selene, and Asclepius, the page before that was about Hermes and Zeus and Atlas and Hestia or Vesta and Cronus and Rhea. And I just thought that was interesting too. So Hermes and Dionysus, Arcadia for fertility, and so there's a connection there, and Ceres and Persephone and Hades. So there was like these myths coming up for me to see certain things, and so I thought that was kind of cool because that's been on my mind, like some of those archetypes and some of those myths, and so it just fit, like It's definitely synchronistic. And I've had a picture of Pallas Athene on my altar for the last little while up there. Athena, goddess of wisdom and the warrior and all that. And um, and the wife keeps coming up too, and so that's Juno or Hera. And so looking at that and like looking at the wounds of the collective feminine and like kind of rivalry, like almost like sibling rivalry and jealousy and competition within the feminine, or and healing those wounds and things. And so yeah, like I had even like that week written in my journal like the archetypes that were popping up, and then flipping open to this is just like a wink wink. So Chiron and the major asteroids. In addition to the planets in our solar system, many astrologers include 5 additional objects: Chiron, Ceres, Juno, Vesta, and Pallas. Chiron has been described as a planet orbiting between Saturn and Uranus, and also as a comet. Its orbit is more irregular than that of any of the planets. The orbital period is about 49 to 50 years. The other 4 objects are asteroids, numbered 1 through 4, as they were the first 4 to be discovered and identified. They are located in orbits between Mars and Jupiter. The asteroid belt occupies an area of space where Bode's law predicts there should be a planet. Some astronomers theorize that the asteroids are actually part of a planet that has disintegrated. They are not spherical like planets. Most are small, although Ceres is about 620 miles in diameter and is roughly spherical, as is Vesta, just over half the diameter of Ceres. The 4 asteroids were discovered between 1801 and 1807. Chiron was discovered in 1977, although its existence was predicted by astrologer Charles Jane in 1975. So, Chiron. Chiron, the wounded healer, is related to shamanism and healing traditions. In mythology, Chiron is part human, part horse, incorporating human qualities into a form that utilizes primal instinctual energy and sheer physical power. The position of Chiron in the birth chart indicates a degree to watch where issues of wounding and healing are concerned. The tradition of the shaman includes the metaphorical and also sometimes very literal transformation that comes through a death or near-death experience. The shaman can heal others because he or she knows what it means to be right at the critical point and to return. Part man and part horse, Chiron is also living on the edge of some very wild energies. Sometimes physician, sometimes musician, sometimes prophet, Chiron reflects the eccentric orbit of the planet in its very nature. Chiron indicates a place where we can react wildly to our own wounding, slipping into an obsessive or worse unconscious behavior pattern based on a somewhat mistaken view of what has occurred. At the same time, this is the place where we can find the deepest personal healing and where we can, in turn, heal others. The sign and house Chiron occupies in a chart provide indicators about where the individual feels blocked. The placement may show where obstacles arise to prevent the flow of healing energy. It also shows how the individual can be of service in the healing of others, aiding them in responding to their own creative urges. Aspects to Chiron may indicate places where we will not or cannot see things clearly. In order to change such a pattern, the individual must be willing to take a hard look at the issues of wounding. This means not trying to fix what is wrong, but simply examining it. Masking symptoms does not work. Healing can occur best when we understand the problem. So, interesting. It's like my deep need to understand. Yeah. To understand. And also, like, I do have a need. I have had that need, or I've felt that need to fix things, to make things better. But, like, maybe it's not about needing to fix it, but simply looking at it and acknowledging it. Yeah. So, the asteroids. So the 4 asteroids described here represent 4 feminine roles: mother, wife, warrior, and sister, which is wow. So by considering their placement in the chart, the student can develop a fuller picture of the feminine that is traditionally associated with Venus, who is often depicted as the lover. Which that's another synchronicity for today, and that'll come in just a little bit. The lover. So Ceres, or Demeter. Ceres, the goddess of fertility, is also viewed as the mother. Her mythic struggle to reclaim her daughter Persephone from the realm of Hades is reflected in this astrological chart as the capacity for dealing with mother issues, as a mother wound. These include such things as dependency, attachment, and loss. It also includes issues of self-esteem, separation, and rejection. There is a relationship to the reproductive cycle in women from menstruation to pregnancy and breastfeeding to menopause and beyond. The relationship to food is part of Ceres's domain, as she is the goddess of fertility, grains, general nutrition, and diet. The position of this asteroid can reveal how an individual relates to any or all of these issues, and aspects show how these issues are tied into the rest of the chart and one's life. Which that's really, freaking interesting to me, like personally, to look at. And then there's Juno, or Hera. Juno, wife of Jupiter, Hera and Zeus are Greek counterparts, was both the queen of the heavens and an archetypal expression of the wife. In both depictions, she could be jealous of her husband's lovers and caused great problems for those who fell from her favor. She valued loyalty, monogamy, and faithfulness. This asteroid may indicate areas where intimate partnering is a focus. On the less constructive side, Juno also indicates where issues of disloyalty and infidelity may arise. In addition, divorce, abuse, and any marital conflict come under her rulership. The associated anger and jealousy or lack of these emotions may be seen in the aspects she makes to planets and angles in a chart. So that's pretty interesting. Like jealousy and conflict. And, rivalry in a way. So anger and jealousy. Or even maybe apathy sometimes, So Pallas Athene, or Minerva. Pallas Athene was born fully grown from the brow of Jupiter. She is a warrior and also is the goddess of wisdom. Although a virgin, Athene did not avoid men, but instead relished her contact with them. Pallas Athene was the patron goddess of Athens. The wise owl is her symbol. This goddess finds expression in women from various eras. All heroines may fall within the scope of this asteroid. Joan of Arc led the French army to victory, and Xena graces television programming each day. She also is an indicator of skill in sports, and she demands that we play by the rules. On the less positive side, Pallas Athene may indicate any connections to incest and sexual abuse. Mythology includes a story of Athene avoiding rape by disappearing miraculously. Unfortunately, this is what many victims attempt to do by withdrawing emotionally or simply repressing all memory of incidences of abuse. Aspects to Pallas Athene indicate how people handle the above issues. And then there's Vesta, or Hestia. Vesta is the goddess associated with home and the hearth. So homecoming. And the fire within. She reflects the feminine role of sister. In addition to her role as guardian of the hearth, Vesta was also guardian of the sacred flame. The Vestal virgins conducted ceremonies in her honor and took vows of chastity while in her service. Women who strongly reflect Vesta in their personalities are often dedicated to helping others. They may become profoundly dedicated to their work, so much so that they cannot imagine life without the work. They accept their sexual role, but as a matter of choice, not a matter of responsibility or of weakness. The relationship of Vesta to Mars in the chart may indicate how various roles of independence, sexuality, and vocation develop through one's life. It is easier to think of the asteroids and perhaps Chiron in the chart of a female. However, males have all these qualities to some degree. To be balanced individuals, we must consider roles that were once reserved for the opposite sex. Stay-at-home or work-from-home fathers embody many of the best characteristics of the asteroids, and women who are employed outside the home do so as well. Because the 4 asteroids each reflect specific feminine qualities, there may be some logic in considering them together in a chart. For example, if Vesta conjoins the sun by solar arc and Ceres forms a sextile to the moon by transit, it probably makes good sense to see what the other 2 asteroids are doing in the way of aspects. When considered as a whole, along with Venus, they can provide a picture of how the ebb and flow of feminine energy is working at a given time in one's life. If one is not aspected in any way, that will suggest that the feminine principle is not in the forefront of daily activities. If one is heavily aspected, that indicates the direction feminine energy is taking. So, I thought that was cool. And then the next chapter is about trans-Neptunians, which is Cupid and Hades and Zeus. And Kronos and Apollo, Admetos, Vulcanus, and Poseidon. Yeah. So those are all interesting, like, interesting little things. But yeah. So it's just kind of funny. Everything's funny to me. Because just the connections and the reflections of it. And just the messages, all the messages, and the confirmation and the affirmations and the winks, yeah. Synchronization. And kind of like drawing into my space, like, yeah, all these things that relate. So it's just, yeah, it's interesting to see. And so, yeah. For this next part, this is about retrograde planets, and yeah, the term retrograde is somewhat misleading, as no planet is actually retrograde. It's an appearance due mainly to the position of the planet in orbit and its relation to the Earth. It might be briefly defined as follows: retrograde, a backward motion that the planets appear to have due to the relation of the planets to the Earth in their various positions in the zodiac. Influence of retrogradation. The planet's influence does not change when retrograde, but the individual's response to the particular influence of that planet is different. The channel for expression of its special qualities or characteristics is not quite as good when retrograde as when in direct motion. Let's see. And then the difference between retrograde and direct motion. In astronomical circles, much has been said concerning the phenomenon known as the redshift. It is concerned with the effects of motion on light, specifically the shift toward red found in the spectrums of light originating from bodies moving away from our vantage point at incredible speeds. The consistency of phenomenon provides a method for measuring those speeds. It is reasonable, therefore, to assume that the same natural laws apply to planets as well as stars. So, when Venus is receding from the Earth, lines are displaced toward the red end of the spectrum. When Venus is moving toward Earth, lines are towards the violet end of the spectrum. This fact clearly shows that there is a difference in direction of the vibrations from planets that retrograde and from those that are direct. This discovery in astronomy has been known for ages in astrology, which has always taught that there is a difference in the influence of a planet determined by whether it is direct or retrograde in motion. Note that lines in a spectrum are displaced toward the red end, Mars, of the spectrum when Venus is receding, which corresponds to a weakening of its beneficent powers when retrograde, as Mars is the antithesis of Venus. When Venus is direct, we note that lines are displaced toward the violet end of the spectrum. Violet is a color that harmonizes with the nature of Venus. When a planet is direct, the power of its own inherent nature is normal. When retrograde, the influence is subnormal among the benefics and abnormal among the malefics. Of course, the planets are never actually retrograde or stationary. Such apparent positions are phenomena caused by the relative positions of the Earth and the planets. So, yeah, it's pretty awesome, pretty interesting. And yeah, I just wanted to mention, yeah, how that relates. And yeah, with Saturn. Like, Saturn's really a good teacher, and I always get like really amazing lessons, even though I feel like I'm being pounded sometimes during those retrogrades. Like, I do have, like, yeah, some major karmic lessons to learn, and Saturn always helps me learn those things. But yeah, of course, I'm always learning, but like, yeah, it kind of explains in a lot of ways, like, why these last 5 months were just, yeah, just felt very heavy and exhausting for me, because yeah, and I I jumped right in, chose to do my work, and stuck with it. And I just, it's kind of funny how just felt like after that week, around the 24th, around, yeah, the end of the month, how it just kind of felt like, oh wow, got through it, like broke through it. And yeah, now it just totally like, oh gosh. I can kind of like see a little more into it and just like, oh, that makes so much sense. What's going on here? So, what I wrote down about the Saturn retrograde, it went into retrograde May 11th and went direct September 29th. So, yeah, that was a good time from May to September, the end of September. And there's, 5 this spring that started in May. And so, the Saturn retrograde is a time, or any retrograde is a time really for growth, for helping us with our growth and reflecting and refining before moving forward to major changes. And Saturn is the planet of responsibility, time, and restrictions or limitations. And sometimes it can be quite severe in nature. It forces boundaries on us to teach us important lessons and to reevaluate personal boundaries and relationships to authority figures. Yeah. Also to reevaluate our relationships to those authority figures and be, about their responsibilities. Like, and that's like kind of like differentiation too, like what's mine and what's not mine. It's a time when we reevaluate our commitments and see what we wish to invest time in, and a time for finding balance, what's working and what's not. It says that this focus for this year, 2020, will shift from being commitment driven in partnerships to a routine in our daily lives. And look at your life from a new perspective and decide how to manage your time so you can truly have it all. And so that's interesting too, with how at the end of my cycle of completion there, I chose to leave Facebook for those reasons too. Or social media, like, to better channel or direct my energy, my creative energy, my time, my focus, my possibilities into what I want to create, into my fertility, and to what wants to be expressed through me. So, it's a good time. It was a good time to review, reassess, realign, reset, and restructure. And that's what we're doing. So the celestial bodies that were in retrograde, that went into retrograde, were Pluto, and that rules like over power and secrets and things coming to the surface, which that was in retrograde April 25th through and it's coming out October 5th. Yeah. So Pluto, that should be interesting. It did come out October 5th. So it's October 8th today, I believe. So, yeah. And it's funny how time, like, doesn't make a lot of sense anymore in certain ways, or it's just not the same, I guess. Like, maybe some of you can relate to that. And then there is Saturn, which was May 11th to the September 29th. Then Venus was in retrograde May 13th through June 25th, and I definitely got some good lessons there. And that's love and value. What do we love and value? Reevaluating that and communicating our needs and relationships. So, interesting. And then Jupiter was in retrograde May 14th through September 12th, and that's all about expansion. And it was like magnification of our true sense of well-being, and looking at like what's our self-care. And then Pallas Athene from May 18th to September 5th, she was in retrograde, and she's the inner warrior of reason, and she helps us temper our base instincts such as rage and lust, and helps us look at what hasn't worked. So it's pretty awesome. And Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter are kind of known as, they can be known as transpersonal planets or generational planets because they move slower through the zodiac. And so they reflect like more of what's going on in the collective, more so than like personal, but it is like these aspects within ourselves and society. So yeah, that's a lot of big changes that we got to work through. So yeah, coming out the other side of that, like, and seeing a little more clearly. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, and yes, it was all about integration, which is a continuous process, really, because there's always more like that we're discovering, and when we discover or when we grow, yeah, we're integrating that new growth and finding like a new sense of balance to expand again. So sometimes it's helpful to have those stages of rest and contraction as well. So I mean, they're both necessary and they're both needed for like that those cycles of growth and within those cycles of growth. And so my synchronicities today, I pulled 3 cards, and one was the Lover from my archetypal like little note card deck. It's just kind of funny. The Lover, the Friend, the Parent, the Romantic, the Poet, also known as the Idealist, and the Codependent and the Narcissist. Like, yeah, I feel like that fits a lot because that's what I've been working with, and it just feels like the wounded child and the wounded parent have been at play, or those patterns and those dynamics to be healed and acknowledged and seen and evaluated and examined. And I have felt like there's a big part of me that's wanted to fix that, but then there's another part of me that knows that it's okay to let it be the way that it is right now, even though it feels really uncomfortable. And so I'm just gonna let it be uncomfortable, and it's okay. Just be willing to respond to it and to feel how I feel, and to allow myself to feel what I feel about it. So that was a little link, and then the next card, Alligator 50, and that was all about integration. And I was laughing about it today when I drew it, and because alligator popped up in my space the other day too, like in my writing and just something that I was picking up on, like a gator energy, like just with the water too, and so definitely was like, what? Okay. And it's number 50, so there's the 5 and the 0 again, and also the Strength card, but I pulled it in reverse, and so I was like, oh, cool, what does that mean? What does that mean again? Like, and it's just a little thing. And I have been, this is exactly what I needed. So reverse meaning lacking self-confidence, questioning your abilities. Am I up for this? I need to believe more in myself. Don't look outside myself for what exists within. I keep reminding myself that. And now it's time to silence my fears. So I face my fears, and it's just kind of a reminder that I don't need to scare myself, really. And that's like sometimes that's what I've been catching myself doing, scaring myself, because it's just this new cycle, going into this new cycle and not knowing what to expect, and also like letting go of all these old things, and then just maybe it's like in a certain way afraid of the new space that's been made, and what's coming. Yeah, but in a way, in another way, I'm so excited because I see like so many possibilities and potentials and amazing things unfolding. And so, yeah, it's just stretching my comfort zone, really, and just reminding myself that all is well and all is held, and I am supported and held, and I am well. And yeah, just respond. So, believe in myself and believe in the support that's always being offered, and be that support for myself and for others in my life that are open to receive. So, yeah. So I just want to read about Gator because I just thought that was the coolest thing, and it was like really, I'm going to work with Gator this week and see what she has for me. And from Medicine Cards, Jamie Sams and David Carson. Alligator. Let me drop my judgments, accepting life with grace, so that forlorn care and worry will vanish from my face. Let me integrate each moment, digesting life with ease, counting all my experiences as equal opportunities. 50. Alligator integration. The powerful gift of alligator medicine is to fully appreciate and integrate all that life offers. Gator shows us the value of thoroughly digesting both the pleasures and the pains of life. In many ways, alligator's medicine is reflected in its behavior. When Gator rolls under the water with its prey, its message is to roll with the punches when being attacked by life circumstances. Carefully storing its prey under a log until the meat is tender teaches us about patience and proper timing. Choosing to laugh when tangled in your own seriousness can immediately diffuse the stranglehold of anger and judgments, self-importance, and inflexibility. Once your rigidity is removed, you are free to again integrate the present set of circumstances, finding what you may have formerly overlooked. Then you can learn Gator's lessons on how to digest the value of any life lesson. Gator medicine people refrain from passing judgment until they have examined all the facts and seen all sides of any situation. It may be time to drop opinions and judgments so that the present situation can be fully understood. Gator might have surfaced in the river of your life to tell you to digest the situation at hand before making any rash moves. You could also be dealing with someone who is too serious or rigid. If this is the case, embrace your flexibility, knowing that you are expanding beyond your former limits, even if others are wallowing in their self-created quicksand. Have you been rushing through life and not taking the time to count your victories or to digest your rites of passage? If so, it could be time to honor your progress, mindful that quick fix solutions do not support long-term goals. Avoid getting stuck in the duality and quagmire of the human judgment game. Use calm, resolve, review your healing process and life lessons, integrating the growth you have attained. In all cases, Gator is telling you that something may have escaped your perception. Ask yourself what viewpoint or possibility did not get factored into your assessment. Did that missing piece of the puzzle keep you from having an accurate overview of what is now occurring? If so, it is never too late to reevaluate the situation from a more integrated and flexible point of view. Remember, Gator's eyes and nostrils are often the only parts of its body above water while it senses its surroundings. Gator integrates all probabilities before it makes its move. Contrary, alligator often signals a time to laugh in the face of conflict in order to survive. If Gator's belly is floating exposed on the top of the water, it could mean that rash actions or thoughtless words have put you in jeopardy. Gator's treacherous jaws warn you not to fall prey to quick fix solutions or schemes. If contrary, Gator's bite has severed an artery that fed you life force, a band-aid will not cure your present situation. Integrate stable long-term solutions and options. If you have become inflexible or judgmental, detach from the muddied thinking or clouded feelings that have imprisoned your progress. In all cases, Gator reminds us to scan more than the surface, integrating all possibilities, potential risks, unexpected outcomes, and ultimate rewards. If you integrate all these viewpoints, it becomes easier to roll over and come out on top. So, yay, thanks alligator medicine. That was pretty awesome. Like seeing some of the connections right away, and then later, like seeing how they do all line up and align and relate, and yeah, for integration and inclusivity and differentiation. So it's very, very cool. And yeah, last time we talked about judgment. Yeah. And judgment, yeah, it was all about like taking the time to meditate on on the progress and the accomplishments and the journey, and what we achieved, or what we've learned, and like what we've sown, what we've harvested in this cycle of growth, and acknowledging that, like, yeah, making acknowledgments. And so in a lot of ways, I've felt in certain relationships, I felt like there's been a lack of acknowledgement, and a lack of allowance. And so that really kind of hurt me and upset me in some ways, like took it personally, because my feelings and my stories and my ways of being and feeling and seeing and relating haven't been acknowledged as I wanted them to be. And that was not feeling very good for me. And I just didn't understand, like, like, why is it always the one way? And like, yeah, why isn't there space held for me in that relationship, or by or through that other? Like, I was expecting the other to hold that space for me and acknowledge me. I mean, and that's not a bad thing at all. Like, in partnership and relationship, like, yeah, that's just one of my things that's important to me. Commitment is reciprocal exchange. And so, yeah, I've been working with that a little bit more too. Like, what is true reciprocal exchange without like strings attached and things, like, and expectations, and like, what do I do with that? You know, without like the teetotaler or the scorekeeper or the nitpicker, like I did, or the martyr. I did this for you, why won't you do this for me, kind of a thing, or keeping score, like in those certain ways. Or like sacrificing ourselves because that's what we thought we had to do to get our needs met by the other. Like, so I'll sacrifice me if you sacrifice yourself for me. Or, you know, like, I'll sacrifice myself for you if you do the same for me. But like, do we really? Yeah, that's not working. That's really what's not working. Just like the horizontal connection where we thought we had to feed off of each other, really, instead of drawing from our own well, like the vertical connection that we do have, of the above and below too, like, drawing on our resources and claiming our roots and our crown. Yeah, but knowing that, yeah, as within, so without. And so, yeah, I'm just looking at some of those things where there seem to be some imbalance in some of my relationships. And it does have to do, like, with friendships, with relationships, and with the others that are like sisters, or that are sisters, you know? So, been having those challenges come up in my life since, I mean, I'm just, yeah, it's been a while, obviously, but like really, really intensely since May. And it does already, like, yep, yeah, seems like there's a few steps, or a few things that get to be looked at, before moving forward with like new major changes. And so I feel like I'm just like wrapping that up though, but like, yeah, it seems old, and I'm just kind of getting impatient, like, with it, because I want to fix it, but I just get to let it be. And so, yeah, that's just one of the things, letting go of judgments and all those things. And like just looking into things, excavating and investigating things that are bothering me and that are triggering me still, and that like really I don't like how it feels, but like still allowing my feelings to show me what they're trying to tell me and what those stories are asking me to see about certain things. And yeah, and it does have to do like with time and energy as well. And so like maybe it's just like wrapping up some of those lessons from Saturn and yeah, and also Venus. Um, yeah, and Pluto too, because there's been secrets and it's like it is like false power and control in a lot of ways. So yeah, and then tempering the base instincts and tempering the wisdom, Palace Athene, and so um, yeah, just all these things, all these things. So letting go of judgments, resentments, expectations, assumptions, preconceived notions, addiction to certain emotions, LOL, desire, fear, roller coaster, hamster wheel, our suffering, made real by the reinforcement of beliefs and attachments, false images and masks, unconscious patterns and comfortable habits, comfort zones, comfort zone monsters that we know, roles that we play, and misery that we know, pain that we have sown or unconsciously chosen, or our pain that we disown or refuse to own and allow to let go of. Look within and let her be known. Let her heal and show the wound. Let the pain be known, shown, revealed. To witness, let her go, let it go. Let it all unfold and show what love is asking me to know. Expressed. Oh, let it all be known and owned, released. With love, let go, letting go, letting go, let it be, let go. So, roots in the crown, claiming our own light and shadow, and letting go of false control and all that's outside of me. All I need is within and all around me. Resources, communication, synchronization, electrification, harmonization, magnetization, crystallization, imagination, magical magnifying magician, laser focus, igniting, inviting, goodwill, and setting my intentions, inviting at one-ment or atonement, peace, joy, love, well-being, goodwill, good intent, faith, grace, abundance, wonder, awe, clarity, freedom, and generosity, authentic reciprocity, fun, playfulness, hospitality, discernment, boundaries, self-respect, self-worth, self-love, the love I deserve, my love for all of me, all my love for all of me. My love is love for me. My love is all of me. Letting go of fears, trusting the universe to do her thing, trusting myself, leaning into me and we, making room for the Holy Spirit to play the dance of soul and spirit at play. I observe letting go. Trust love, open to love and guidance, support and nourishment, release and receptivity, facing my fears, penetration, being hurt or harmed, dishonored. Where am I hurting? Where can I love myself and regenerate or be love for myself? Where can I honor myself in more full, true ways? Where can I allow myself to be? Where can I acknowledge me? Where can I acknowledge the growth and the victory? Where can I allow myself to be as I am, here I am, for all I am, just as I am, here as I am, through this flame of God's expression. I am an extension of the principle of love. I am an extension of love for one and all. Reflection. Oh. Perfection. Yeah. Yeah. Reflection. A perfection reflection of God's expression. Yeah, sometimes my words are all like jumping around the page and it's like, it's kind of funny. Anyways, like, I guess they would all be interchangeable anyways. Sometimes the linear sequence doesn't really matter. Sometimes, yeah, it can help. So, that was from October 6th. And then yesterday was kind of like a weird day. It, yeah, oh, I felt like, yeah. super, super good at the beginning of the week. And then I don't know, like, it just kind of felt like a little bit off or a little bit heavy yesterday for some reason. I was just, okay, I'm just gonna allow myself. I don't feel like it's chipper and like it's excited and like about things. Maybe I just get to like feel what I feel or just be how I am and be where I am and be as I am and not force anything, like not try and force me to have like a good mood or a positive mood, but just like, all right, this is fine too, like digesting that. And then, yeah, just having some digestive issues this week. Yeah, where it hasn't really felt all that good, but like just paying attention and trying and doing my best to support myself with good things that will help me, will help support my body and my well-being. And yeah, so part of that is actually, yeah, getting together with the group too. Even though I was like so super tired and I wasn't like, and I was feeling kind of off and I was feeling, yeah, not so great, but I still was like committed to showing up. I was like, I want to go. I want to see these people that I care about and like my tribe, my soul family, and like kindred spirits. And so my husband and I went last night to hang out with our little group. And that was amazing and magical and just felt so freaking good afterwards, too. It's just so good to be together, And yeah, and allowing the discomfort and allowing me to just be authentic and yeah, I'm doing well, but it's been kind of a hard day. It's been one of those days. And then sharing that, like, yeah, and I'm not the only one that felt that way either. But then, yeah, and all of us just coming together to support one another and to be together and, yeah, showing up for ourselves and each other. And that was just so restorative and affirming and reaffirming. So, yeah, I'm grateful for all of my relationships and like the pain and the pleasure, the joy and the discomfort. There's all value in it. And so doing my best to let go of certain judgments. Because, yeah, it's just sometimes easier to judge and condemn than just to allow and to examine or be open and receptive to the messages. And yes, some of that's reaction. Yeah, it's just wanting a response, really, or asking for a response, or just allowance, like to be what it is, because it's not. Yeah, there's more being offered than meets the eye sometimes, and what's apparent from the surface, and it is like kind of like an unraveling, and it is like a long-term thing, and it is like in the process of healing. And so yeah, maybe our rush to fix things sometimes like really does prolong the misery and the disease. So yeah, instead of like letting the process unfold naturally and supporting ourselves during that unfolding, yeah, and that doesn't mean that we can't comfort ourselves or whatnot. Like during those times that we're feeling uncomfortable, like we can always offer ourselves comfort and allowance and receptivity and generosity and hospitality and space. It's a space to be. So, yeah, I'll work with that this week, and Gator and strength and the lover, and look at the dynamics. Oh yeah, there was so much from last time, the codependent and the narcissist, and beginnings and endings and past, present, and future, and all of that, like, because there's so many things that relate. But yeah, I don't really like to go much over an hour when I record these. So I figure like an hour is plenty time sometimes, like to say what I need to say. But yeah, I will make an effort to do a few more videos just to share some things when I feel, yeah, the inspiration. But if any of you watchers and players and alchemists out there, if you have any questions, or are you curious about anything, or can you relate to any of these things and these archetypal themes, what's coming up for you, and what do you see in your personal world and in the collective, and how does that mirror and reflect what's happening internally, or how does what's externally kind of show you what's happening internally, and have you seen any of those connections, and what kind of